Super Mario 64. We've all heard of it, we've all played it, we all know how it was the first 3D platformer to truly nail everything. It was just a great game. It wasn't the first 3D platformer ever, but it was the first that set the groundwork for many others to come. One of those being none other than Banjo-Kazooie. And if you ask me, this game is better than Mario 64. Sure, Mario 64 set the groundwork and dominated in sales and all that, but Banjo is more polished and is overall more fun if you ask me. But that's enough of my opinions. Let's dive into this game and see why many people, including myself, love this game to death. Banjo-Kazooie. So many people are omega nostalgic over this game. However, I'm not one of those people. I never played this game as a kid. Heck, I had never even heard of it. It wasn't until years later when Banjo got announced for Smash in 2019. I had absolutely no idea who the heck they were. Yet there was something about them that I liked. After scrolling YouTube and watching memes, I saw the internet just going crazy over Banjo getting added and wondered why that was. So out of curiosity, I looked up what game he was from, and then I just saw the intro and immediately fell in love. Just what is this game? Who are these characters? Why do they look so freaking happy? While other kids my age are too busy playing Fortnite and Call of Duty and all that, I was busy doing research on this game. I watched a full long play of this game, watched reviews, and eventually learned more about Rareware. The only Rare game I had ever played was Donkey Kong Country on my dad's childhood Super Nintendo, and both still work to this day. That's also when I learned about Conker, but that's a video for another day.
And none of this would have happened if it weren't for that no-good husband of mine. He's gone off, you know, with another woman.
Oh, really? That doesn't surprise me.
What?
Nothing.
I thought it'd be several years before I finally played Banjo-Kazooie, but then fall 2021 hit and the Switch Online Plus expansion pack got revealed, and when I saw Banjo, I got omega excited. I did want an N64 for Christmas that year, but I figured that could wait. And once Banjo finally released on Switch Online, the rest was history. I finally played this game and I was hooked immediately. It was so easy to see why so many people love this game. Very fun gameplay, hilarious dialogue, and the list just goes on and on. And what the heck? And since then, I got an N64 from a friend and an original copy of the game, and this is how I recorded footage for the game. Screw Switch Online, we're going full original mode.
Yahoo!
Right at the start of the game, we see a tower in the shape of a witch's face. And inside that tower is Gruntilda the witch. Talking to her cauldron named Dingpot, she asks who the nicest looking witch is, and he says it's her of course, but in a mirror on the wall situation, he does mention that there is this girl, and of course Gruntilda wonders what he means by that, and he shows her that it's Tooty, Banjo's sister, who is the nicest looking. But Gruntilda isn't having any of that. She immediately rushes out of her lair to capture Tooty. Tooty is on her way to Banjo's house to go on an adventure with him, but he's still sleeping. Gruntilda flies out of her lair and captures Tooty. Kazooie, still being awake, hears everything and freaks out, and this wakes up Banjo. But by then, it's already too late. And if you quit the game or get a game over, you actually get to see a what if scenario for if Gruntilda actually does steal Tooty's beauty and Tooty becomes ugly. Bottles the Mole is your guide for the controls. After he discusses what to do and where Gruntilda took Tooty, he teaches you the basic controls of the game if you accept. It only affects the basic controls that you learn in Spiral Mountain. Most of the levels throughout the game gives you new moves to learn, and there's so many of them. Also, people talk bad about the water controls, but honestly, they aren't that bad if you ask me. Same with the flight controls. However, I do remember the controls being worse when I played this game on Switch Online, but that's just because I used a Switch Pro controller and not an actual N64 controller, which this game was designed around. To activate some moves, you have to hold Z, then press one of the C buttons. On a modern controller, the C buttons are mapped to the right stick, so it's very weird to control with a modern controller. But with an actual N64 controller, it's a lot better. Spiral Mountain is a tutorial level, which is where you learn the basic moves and all that. Once we get inside Gruntilda's lair, we get our first Jiggy, which is this game's version of stars from Mario 64, which we can use to get to the first level, Mumbo's Mountain. And right off the bat, there's so many things to collect. We got the Jinjos, who gives you a Jiggy if we get all 5 of them. The music notes that are this game's version of coins from Mario, except there's exactly 100 in each level. And if you're a gamer like me, you'll go for them all. You have replenishable items like eggs and feathers, 10 Jiggies in each level, and Momo tokens that are used for transformations. You platform through these levels and do a bunch of miniature tasks to collect Jiggies. The game sadly doesn't really have boss battles, but rather it just has bigger enemies. After playing DK64, I realized that bosses would have been really awesome in this game, but at least 2 we ended up having bosses. And there are transformations with the help of Mumbo Jumbo. This is where the Momo tokens come in, and I love how they go Ikam Bokum. Ikam Bokum. The transformations usually just help you get through small areas that you normally can't go through, while others like the crocodile have a secret minigame that you can play to get a Jiggy. And this game also has 9 levels total, those being Mumbo's Mountain, Treasure Trove Cove, Clanker's Cavern, Bubble Gloop Swamp, Freeze Easy Peak, Gobi's Valley, Mad Monster Mansion, Rusty Bucket Bay, and Click Clock Wood. The levels are pretty easy, and people always talk about how hard Rusty Bucket Bay is, and I always thought it was easy. Until I replay it again. Click Clock Wood is my favorite level, and it's also the level where you don't want to die, like, at all. You get a brutal punishment for when you die. You lose all of your collectibles you had, except for important ones like Jiggies. This makes getting all the notes in Rusty Bucket Bay and Click Clock Wood absolutely brutal, but this was fixed in the Xbox version. And Click Clock Wood is a much smaller level, but what makes it interesting is that you can change the season depending on which door you go through. And there's just so many memorable moments in this game. You give a hippo his treasure that he lost, and at the end of the game he spends it on a jet ski. You help this mechanical fish by fixing his toothache, and once you go inside of him you get Lord Jabu Jabu flashbacks. You play a game of memory with Tip Top from Diddy Kong Racing. You abuse a camel named Gobi. You go inside a... oh dear. Oh dear. You help this beaver in summertime, however whenever he goes up to his house it's way too steep for you. So you have to come back in autumn to swim up to his house and he gives you a prize. It's stuff like this that is just so memorable, and it's literally everywhere in the game. And we can't talk about this game without talking about that sweet, sweet music. The music just fits the environment so well, and it changes depending on where you are in the level. Mumbo's Mountain sounds like this, you know, just your first traditional level, but when you go near the termites they start chanting with the music. The whistles that play in Rusty Bucket Bay. All the birds chirping in sync with the music in Click Clock Wood. It's just so dang catchy and memorable and just overall just fun to listen to. After having the time of your life in this game, you realize that all good things must come to an end, and it's finally time to beat the witch. But that's not the case, cause she decides to make a little game show. Throughout the game, you can run to Gruntilda's sister, Brentilda, who is on your side, and she tells you secrets about Gruntilda. But if you're stubborn like me, and you just want to play the game, then you'll ignore her every time you see her. These secrets are needed in order to beat this part. Landing on different spaces gives you a different challenge, whether if it's guessing where a song can be played, do a minigame challenge but very quickly, etc. But when you land on a Grunty space, she gives you a quiz that's based off of herself, and that's where Brentilda comes in. But once you succeed, Grunty leaves, you save Tooty, and Kazooie tells a joke. And the game is over. Almost. Banjo and his friends have a party, but 2D tells you that the witch still got away, you idiot. And you gotta go back up and beat the witch. Well, first we gotta get this last Jiggy I missed. Alright, now we can. Getting absolutely every note is where you can get the max amount of health. And now we can go fight the witch. This battle can be pretty tough, and it's the only real boss in the game, which is pretty sad. First you gotta wait for her broom to stop working, then you gotta shoot her with eggs, then you bash her in the sky, then she summons a barrier, and now she's invincible until the Jinjos come in, shoot eggs at the small doors, and they do a little twirl attack on Gruntilda. Do that to all 4, and then the mighty Jinjonator appears, and once you summon it, the final blow is dealt. Grunty tries to finish Banjo with one more attack, but it misses, and Grunty plummets to her death once and for all. She tries to get out, but the boulder's too heavy, and not even Klungo can save her. After the credits, Mumbo talks about many secrets and talks about the game's sequel, Banjo-Tooie, and he talks about Stop and Swap, which sadly was never featured in the game, and the rest is over. And Gruntilda is never, ever coming back. And yeah, that's Banjo-Kazooie. And people will say that the only people who like this game are just Omega nostalgic and biased. And I can confidently say that that is not the case. I first played this game 3 years ago, and look at me talking about how much I love it. I can confidently give this game a 9.6 out of 10. It's a fantastic game that is just fun in every single way. I highly recommend to pick it up, whether if you have an N64, Switch Online, or an Xbox, which only 4 people own. And with that, I have discussed everything I wanted to talk about with this game. Thanks for watching. However, we find out in Banjo-Tooie that Gruntilda is actually still alive somehow.